All right, Colin, what are we doing today?
We're going to be installing a P3 gauge into the Golf R. P3 makes custom integrated digital gauges. They fit right into your vents in your car. They make them for tons of platforms, everything from Volkswagen, Audi to like Fords and stuff like that. They're super rad. They show you all kinds of different parameters and stuff like that. And P3 designs them to like match the LEDs and just the vibe of your interior, basically. They're super quick to install, at least on our platforms, and they look great. So we'll just go ahead and get started. So to start, we'll just unbox it back here in the trunk since we're outside. Gives us a nice flat area. Depending on what option you get and what model gauge you get and all that kind of stuff, what comes in your box will be a little bit different. I ordered some boost tubing because I will be hooking up eventually my own boost tap. But here you can see this kit includes display, main harness, control box, OBD2 cable, boost sensor, tap kit. These optional items again will change depending on what you order. We have everything P3 offers, we do have listed on the site, which is dope. So this is our gauge, that's part number. Here's our control box. The harness goes into here, and then the OBD2 cable feeds into here, I believe. Then we've got our regular harness here. Then this is our boost tap. We won't be hooking this up today. Then your P3, what is this called, Nathan?
Sticker.
P3 sticker. OBD2 plug feeds right into this portion of your control box, just like so. Sorry, I had it backwards then. And then if we unwrap our gauge here carefully, it'll have the rest of the wiring we need to plug it into the control box. So again, this sits just right into your vent. And we'll show you how to do it. Sits right in your vent, plugged into that box. Interior of the car, you Mark 6 guys will recognize this platform. Pretty much every Mark 6 has the same interior except for like late model Jettas. The only tools you'll really need to do this install is going to be some trim removal pieces. These are actually a brand new kit we just got for the shop. They'll be going on the site soon, so keep an eye out for those. Be a good price and great for small projects like this to make sure you don't damage your interior panels. What we're going to start doing is peeling up this piece of trim. Covers our interior fuse panel. Just reach in, pop this off all the way around, and it comes out pretty easy. The trickiest part of this install, if you get the gauge that is not pre-installed, is pulling this vent out. Just because it is kind of tight in here, you got to finesse it, wiggle it around, try and pull it out. So I'm pushing on it from the back. My finger fits right in through here, and just using the plastic trim tool to go all the way around to try and pry out the vent. See if I can get any more leverage on it. Use the other side here. You do want to be careful. You can break these, especially if you have an older car or your plastic's a little bit more brittle. We did have another employee who broke his. So you can see here, it didn't take me too much effort to at least get it dislodged from the car. Cool. And that's pretty much it. Looks like I popped a clip off here. That shouldn't be a big deal.
If you can find it.
It's in there somewhere. Again, shouldn't be a big deal because the rest of this will all slide into place. So now we need to disassemble this, and the way this face comes off is fairly straightforward. If you look here, Nathan, if you want to zoom in, this is clipped in all the way around, not on the bottom.
Can you see that again?
Clipped in here. Here you can see it's just these little tabs that all you really need to do is take a trim tool and just sort of pry it off the edge. So for you Mark 6 guys, or that have a similar interior, could be a couple other cars, these two bottom clips are the ones you're going to want to be careful with. They're tricky to get to. Again, if you use the trim tool set that we have on the site, this will make your life a lot easier. So we can try to reach in here and just pry these up sort of sideways and finesse the gauge off if possible. Use this end here and see what we can do. Cool. So we came back inside. It was kind of hot out. Plus, it's hard to do this next part without like a solid surface. The next step is going to be separating your slats from your vent In our case, it's just a couple little easy push pins. They will push in and pop out on each side. Ours already fell out, so the next step here is going to be disassembly. It gets a little fragile here, so be careful. Ours already started to pop apart, but pretty much all you need to do on the Mark 6 is this bracket needs to come off, and you do that just by being gentle and lifting up, and that'll free most of your slats. Then you need to pop off this one here as well, and again, be careful. You can see these little nubs.
Let me get a good shot of that.
This one's broken. Give you a flashlight, maybe that'd be helpful.
Yeah, sure.
You can see the little nubs on the top of the vents right up here. They're pretty fragile, brittle plastic, so just got to be careful. But again, we'll just push these up very carefully until they're all removed. And we're replacing the bottom slats here. So all we need to do from this side is pop this bottom slat out very carefully, and this second bottom piece out. And now we're left with the third of our gauge, which will eventually all sit in the gauge together in this sort of fashion. This part is where it's going to get a tad tricky, a little hairy, because you have to reassemble this very carefully the same way you disassembled it. That means putting these little slats back on these tiny little knobs here, and this could be, this will really test somebody's patience for putting these together. So once you get this back together, it'll be vent reassembly time. Reassembling the vent should be straightforward. You know, just visualize where it all goes. You can tell where the top of your gauge is based on the logo. I think it's on this side. So the way you want to insert this into your vent, it's just going to be over your little lip here. Slides right in over and fits into the slat into the vent, just like so. And then we'll take our slats here that have been reassembled, and there are spots on each side where this clips in, so just be careful and don't do that. So if that happens, these will just very carefully push back onto the slats. Let's press back in. So we'll feed this through the back, just like so. Make sure it's pulled through entirely, and then we just need to refit our vent face. So we just want to make sure everything gets lined up properly, and this will just very easily push back and clip back on. Push it in all the way around. Might take a little bit of gumption, for lack of a better term. Just persuade it. You guys know how car parts are. And there you go, fully reassembled. So we're back out here at the car. Lots of outside noises going on. One thing I wanted to mention is try to make sure your ribbon cable is flat in your vent, because you want to be able to close this if you don't want cold air. If it's not flat and if it's twisted or like sat horizontally like that, you might have a hard time closing your gauge. So just make sure once you feed this through that it closes all the way. You can hear mine makes a click when it closes. The next part here is pretty simple. We're going to feed our ribbon cable through with our Cat 5 head on it. We need to feed it down to our OBD2 port. So this is going to be fairly straightforward. Actually, we don't need to feed the ribbon cable through. What we need to feed through actually is going to be our control box. So I'm going to untwist our bread tie here, or whatever these are actually called. Sorry for the outside noises, we can't do much. But I wanted to cover these real fast before we installed them. Nathan brought them up, it's a good point. I've got some additional wires here coming off my control box. As I mentioned earlier, the P3 gauge will display anything that can output a 5-volt analog signal to the gauge. So if you've got methanol or E85, like an E85 sensor or anything like that, they can be wired up. The last one here is going to be dimmer. You can wire this up to when you turn your lights on, the gauge dims in brightness a little bit. It'll just make it easier on the eyes at night. And here you'll see this is our boost tap. Like I said, I got a boost tap. We're not going to hook it up today, but really all you do is you tap somewhere that has vacuum in the engine, run it through the firewall, and it'll slide right onto this little nipple, and then you'll start reading actual boost as opposed to reported boost through OBD. So now we're just going to finish installing this. It's super easy. We're back inside the car here. We are going to remove one additional thing to make this easy. It's just going to be this interior trim piece. It's super easy. It literally just pulls right off. And what we're going to do is our control box is going to live in here. We're going to run our OBD cable through this little opening. We'll just finesse it into here. This isn't like, you know, the only way to do this. There's plenty of ways to run these. Some people hardwire their P3 gauges as well. You can totally do that. But I've got my hand on the connection down here. We'll tuck all this in here for now, just like so. The last thing we need to do is plug in our actual gauge from right here, and then we can push all of this back in to its home. You want to make sure this is lined up properly to fit with the rest of your dash. Then for the most part it'll slide right in and mounts right up how it should. We'll clean all this up properly later, but to finish the video, this is how it'll all tuck away. We'll put our little panel back on here, just like this. Pull our wire stripping over. And then we'll take our fuse panel cover, slide it back in. And then all you got to do, it's going to be hard for Nathan to record, but you've got your OBD plug. My port is down here. Just plugs right into your OBD port, and you are good to go. So it'll run through its startup sequence, and I don't know what this first one is, might be vacuum, but boost, it's reporting no boost because we have no boost. But yeah, these buttons you can change through all your different parameters, stuff like that. Boost, coolant, speed, battery, rev, where your tach is at. I don't know what this one means. So there's all kinds of different options, throttle, AFRs, 0 to 60 timers, boost. So I'm going to keep it on boost. If I could stop going past it. AFR, 0 to 60 boost. And that's pretty much how it works. So let's get out of here and let it build up some boost. You can see once we start getting into boost, I was up to 8. So we're in the parking lot, so we're gonna take it easy, but that's pretty much the P3 gauge install. Again, super easy, really OEM plus. These are super awesome P3, really cool guys. You can see here, Nathan, I don't know if you can get this back on camera, but I've got the blue gauge that just matches my blue needles in my dash. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Everything that P3 makes can be found on our site. All the gauges for every make, and all the accessories, and then every tool that you might need to do this install is also on the site. So appreciate you guys watching. We're gonna go ahead and get parked and get inside, so thanks.